Ever land in a new time zone and feel a little off for a few days? Summer travel is fantastic, but jet lag is real and it can definitely ruin your time. So, today we are going to talk about ways to help avoid that jet lag and maybe get over it a little bit faster. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Gill, your pharmacist that cares. So, jet lag is definitely real. I'm sure you've all experienced it, whether you've traveled on a plane or even if you've driven somewhere across the country to a new time zone. And it is hard to deal with. We just got back from a fantastic vacation, but it was an 8-hour time difference. That is almost completely flipping night and day. And that is really hard to get used to. So, I want to talk about a few tips of ways that you can help yourself avoid that jet lag, even if it's an hour or two, or if it's as big as an 8 or 12-hour time difference. So, the first thing, if possible, try to start a little bit early before you leave. Try to adjust your time, especially if it's just an easy couple-hour difference. So, depending on which way you're traveling, east or west, go to bed a little bit earlier or stay up a little bit later and adjust your wake up time as well. And as you're doing that, you can even adjust the time that you're eating. Now, you're all thinking, yeah, right, Amy, I am packing until the last second. I totally get it. I always think too that I'm going to get done. I start a week early packing, and then there's still those last minute things. And these things are really hard to do. So let's say you don't start early. What are we going to do then? Well, there's things you can do. So let's say you're going to fly overseas. If you're going to do that, most of the flights are going to be at nighttime. So what are you going to do to adjust your time? Number one, first let's think about what time zone you are landing in. Adjust your watch, because then now you know, okay, this is where I'm going to be when I land. So let's try to coordinate that. Now, when you're on the plane, especially for a very long time, you can watch movies, TV shows, you can read, you can do all kinds of things. So if you know what time it is where you're landing, let's start to adjust it. A lot of people will fall asleep on the airplane. That appropriate time to sleep in the country you're headed to. Because if you're going to start adjusting it then, it's going to make a big difference. Now, it is tough to adjust the eating schedule when you're on the plane because they're feeding you at all kinds of crazy times, right? They're coming along with food, especially if you're on a long flight. Our longest leg of our flight was 14 hours. And they fed us twice. We got snacks. I don't even know what time they were feeding us. It was crazy. So those things are a little tough, but do try to do that. Now, I know it's tough to sleep on a plane, especially if you are in economy. There's just not a lot of room. But if you are planning an overseas trip, a little tip, don't fly try to fly an out of the country airline. They have a lot more room. They are not crammed in there. They actually have less rows and you have more leg room, because flying business or first class is really a luxury sometimes. Sometimes it's 2 to 3 to 4 times or even more expensive to fly that than economy. And if you're flying a whole family, you're not buying a car just so you can get somewhere, because that's sometimes what it costs to fly. So what do you want to do? You want to pick the airlines that have more rooms. We flew Qatar. It was amazing. Unfortunately, they partnered with another airline here that doesn't have as much room. So some of the legs were a little crammed on our flight, but that's how it goes. So look for less stops. That's always better too, because that's going to not interrupt you as much. It's just going to be easier for your travel as well. So what else do we need to do besides trying to adjust our sleep and adjust our eating habits? We need to stay hydrated. That is really important. You don't think about that, especially when you're on the plane and traveling, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to drink because then I have to get up to the bathroom. I'm going to have to move somebody. So that is something very important as well. And once you land, do that too. Keep staying hydrated. That is important. Avoid caffeine, because that's really going to throw you off. I know you're going to want to do the caffeine because you're tired and you're trying to adjust. A little is fine, but don't go as excessive, because then you're going to have trouble sleeping. That really is going to throw you off. Avoid alcohol, because that's going to do the opposite, right? It's going to make you tired. It's going to just make you feel groggy and yucky, especially on the plane. That's really never a good idea, because you're just going to be thrown off completely. Once you land, when we landed, it was first thing in the morning, like 7 a.m. We're tired. We've been traveling for like 2 days and we're exhausted, right? The kids are like, I want to take a nap. No, Absolutely not. We are not going to take a nap. We are going to push through. We're going to have breakfast, then we're going to have lunch, and then we'll go to bed early. That's fine. But do not do that. Push yourself to keep going. Don't go sit in the room. Don't go sit down. Don't fall asleep. When you land, make sure you keep going. That is important, because if you can start to regulate yourself that way, it's going to be so much easier come day 2 and day 3. Because with these big time differences, it can take anywhere from 5 to 8 days to adjust. Well, you might only be there for a week or 2 weeks. And then you don't want to ruin your trip just because you're constantly walking around like a zombie. So do your best to do these things. Like I said, avoid excessive alcohol, avoid excessive caffeine, stay hydrated, avoid those naps, and really try to adjust your time of when you're sleeping. Now, I know you're probably going to get up early. If you go to bed early, you're going to get up early, right? Because your body only needs so much sleep. Great, fine. Just keep going. Keep doing the things. Get up, get ready, read your book, write in your journal, whatever the case is, but do that. So, so important. Now, one thing that definitely my oldest does, he brings along a melatonin sleep spray when he is there, because it is hard to make the adjustment. And if he's having a hard time falling asleep because maybe he did sleep too much on the plane, or you're thrown off, the melatonin sleep spray, doing it an hour to 2 before bedtime, is going to help your body adjust. And there are a lot of clean versions of things that you can do, and a lot of ones that maybe you want to avoid. So let's chat about that, and I can give you a little information on what to do based on your age, how many sprays you should do based on the weight, all those things that I can tell you as a pharmacist what you should be doing. But it is really important. You don't want to ruin your vacation because you're just tired. So these are just little things that you can do to make it so much easier. And of course, coming home, same kind of thing, right? You're going to have a hard time adjusting when you come back home. But do those things again. When you jump on the plane, change your watch again. Know what time you're going to get home. That's important. Start adjusting your eating schedule. And if you need to go to bed a little bit earlier when you go home, it's okay. Our first night back, I think everybody by 8:30 were like, it's time for bed. But that's okay. It's not a big deal, because at least you're going to bed, and maybe you're going to be up at 4 or 5. Okay, great. Get up, do a workout. Read your book, finish writing in your journal from things from the trip, whatever the case is, but don't just stare at the ceiling, right? Make yourself busy, get your day going, because if you went to bed at 8:30 or 9, you've had plenty of sleep. So these things are all key, because we've talked about this so many times with sleep and how important it is to your health and wellness. You have to be able to get adjusted and have to be able to do this, because when you are somewhere else, right, you've been exposed to all kinds of different things. Everything is different. The food is different. The time is different. Everything is different. You don't want to fall sick on your vacation, because that is absolutely no fun. So all these little tips along the way are going to make things so much easier for you. You're going to enjoy your vacation, and you are going to stay healthy and happy. So reach out to me if you guys are traveling and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I do want to try to start early. How am I going to adjust? What should I do? Here's my flight schedule. I am happy to help kind of walk you through just little things that you can do. And also, we can also talk about the melatonin that you can pack in your bag as well. So I know you guys probably see the picture popped up here from our African safari. I've posted only one so far out of literally thousands, and I really mean thousands of pictures I've taken. So stay tuned for lots more about the safari and lots more about the trip to Africa in general. I have a lot of lives planned of things I want to talk about that we saw, things that I've touched on before. But when you see things online and you read about them, it's a little bit different than when you actually see them in person. So a lot of things touched us. I know I've talked about the clean water issues. So many things that I want to talk about, you guys. So many things. So stay tuned for a lot more episodes related around travel and health and wellness. So if you've planned your vacation and you haven't left yet, let's chat so we make sure that you guys are all adjusted and know the right way to make it a healthy, happy, and fun vacation.